Imagine this. 5 men vanish without explanation after a basketball game in California. Months later, their bodies are found in a remote wilderness, hundreds of miles off course, in conditions that defy all logic. No one knows why they were there, what they were doing, or how they met such a chilling end. This is not a plot from a horror movie. It's a real-life mystery that has haunted investigators and conspiracy theorists for decades. Known as the American Dyatlov Pass, the Yuba County Five case remains one of the strangest unsolved mysteries in U.S. history. What happened to these men? Was it a tragic accident, a sinister plot, or something beyond explanation? Stay with us as we unravel this chilling tale. On February 24, 1978, 5 friends, Gary Mathias, Jack Madruga, Ted Wire, Bill Sterling, and Jack Hewitt, set off from their homes in Yuba City, California, for a basketball game at California State University, Chico. They were all part of a program for people with mild intellectual disabilities or mental health challenges, but they were high-functioning and close-knit. Their families described them as responsible and deeply excited for their own basketball tournament scheduled the following day. Yet they never returned home. The next morning, their families began to worry. The boys hadn't shown up, and none of them were answering calls. By evening, it was clear something was wrong. Police were notified, and a search began. Days later, their car, a 1969 Mercury Montego, was found abandoned in the Plumas National Forest, nearly 70 miles away from their intended route. The car was in good condition, with gas in the tank and no signs of mechanical failure. Yet there was no trace of the men. This discovery raised more questions than answers. Why had they driven into the wilderness in the middle of the night? None of them had any reason to be in that area. Even stranger, the car was found on a rugged mountain road that Madruga, the group's driver, was known to dislike. He had always avoided unpaved roads, so why was his car parked there? The mystery deepened as the search dragged on for months with no sign of the men. Then, in June 1978, as the snow melted, a horrifying discovery was made. The bodies of Wire, Sterling, and Hewitt were found near a remote Forest Service trailer, about 20 miles from where the car had been abandoned. The scene was baffling. Ted Wire's body was inside the trailer, stretched out on a bed, wrapped in several layers of sheets. He had lost nearly 100 pounds and appeared to have died of starvation, despite the trailer being stocked with food and survival supplies. Around him were empty cans of food, but not nearly enough to account for the time he had likely survived in the trailer. Even more bizarre, there was an untouched propane tank that could have provided heat, yet the men hadn't used it. Outside the trailer, the skeletal remains of Sterling and Hewitt were found, partially scavenged by animals. Their positions suggested they had tried to reach the trailer, but had succumbed to the elements. Madruga's body was found farther away, along with fragments of his clothing, suggesting he may have died while trying to seek help. But Gary Mathias, the 5th man, was never found. His disappearance remains one of the most puzzling aspects of the case. Theories began to swirl. Some suggested the men had gotten lost and panicked, but this didn't explain why they had driven so far off course. Others speculated they had been victims of foul play. A witness came forward claiming to have seen a pickup truck parked near the Mercury Montego the night the men disappeared. Could they have been chased or coerced into the wilderness? There's also the eerie possibility of a psychological breakdown. Gary Mathias, the only one with a known history of mental illness, had been diagnosed with schizophrenia and was on medication. His condition was reportedly under control, but some wondered if he had experienced a psychotic episode that led the group astray. Yet, his friends were known to be fiercely loyal and unlikely to abandon him, no matter what. Then there's the supernatural angle. The rugged Plumas National Forest is steeped in folklore and eerie legends, including tales of strange lights, unexplained disappearances, and ghostly apparitions. Could the Yuba County Five have encountered something otherworldly that drove them to their doom? One chilling detail often overlooked is the possibility of an external threat. The area where the car was found is known for its harsh conditions and occasional reports of dangerous individuals living off the grid. Could the men have stumbled upon someone or something they weren't supposed to see? Decades later, the case remains unsolved. Despite extensive searches, no trace of Gary Mathias has ever been found. Theories continue to emerge, but none have provided definitive answers. Was this a tragic accident, a case of foul play, or something even stranger? The story of the Yuba County Five is a haunting reminder of how quickly the ordinary can turn extraordinary and deadly. Five friends set out for a basketball game full of excitement and anticipation, only to vanish into the night, leaving behind a trail of questions that may never be answered. As you ponder this mystery, consider this. What would you do if you found yourself lost in the wilderness, far from home, with no clear way out? Would you trust your instincts, rely on your companions, or surrender to the unknown? The Yuba County Five faced that choice, and whatever they decided has left us with one of the most perplexing mysteries in American history.